to ask questions in French. As my people would say, who asks questions? No, they misroad. That's in vernacular. In English, it means people that ask questions do not get lost. In general, there are 3 ways to ask questions in French. Number 1, inversion method, est-ce que, and changing the tone of your voice. You would understand what I mean. Let's start with inversion method. As the name implies, it's basically switching things up, putting the verb before the subject pronoun. That is simply what the inversion pattern is. Let's take an example. It will make sense. Rather than saying vous comprenez la question, the inverted method to make it a question will then be comprenez-vous la question? Comprenez-vous la question? Do you see? I put comprenez before vous, basically putting the verb before the subject pronoun. That is the inversion method. And that means, do you understand the question? Yes. Parlez-vous espagnol? Parlez-vous espagnol? The actual sentence is vous parlez espagnol. But then, inverted, it would be parlez-vous espagnol? I know we've been using vous. We could actually use the informal way. So, it could be comprends-tu la question? Or parles-tu espagnol? Either way, works just fine. Depends on who you're talking to. Now, if the third person singular of a verb ends with a vowel, you're going to add a T in the inverted method to facilitate the pronunciation, to make speaking smoother. Let's take an example. Parle-t-elle russe? Parle-t-elle russe? This means, does she speak Russian? Parle-t-elle russe? If you notice, there's a T between parle and elle, which doesn't really mean anything, but to smoothen the pronunciation, we added it there. Let's take one more example. Voyage-t-il souvent en Europe? Voyage-t-il? Do you see? Which means, does he often travel to Europe? So if you notice, I put the T there to make it smoother. Imagine saying voyage-il. Voyage-t-il, voyage-t-il, voyage-il. Boring. A more colloquial way of asking a question is by using est-ce que. It's more proper. I don't know if I pronounced that first word right. Colloquial. Whatever, you understand what I'm trying to say. A more proper way to ask questions in French is by using est-ce que. Now, est-ce que can be used in different ways. It's not just one way. It means different things and it could be placed in between. Yes, so let us explore how to use est-ce que. Now, we can use est-ce que to ask questions to start with do. Does. Does he? Does she? Does it? Is it? Is he? Is she? Is that? Is. Are you? Are we? Are they? Are. Did he? Did she? Did we? Did. These are the different ways you could actually use est-ce que. Let's take examples, starting off with do. Est-ce que tu veux partir maintenant? Est-ce que tu veux partir maintenant? Which means do. Do you want to leave now? Do you want to leave now? You see, here it means do. Let's take an example for does. Est-ce qu'elle a une voiture? Est-ce qu'elle a une voiture? Does she have a car? Does. Let's take an example for is. Est-ce qu'il est médecin? Est-ce qu'il est médecin? Is he a doctor, or he's quack? Take an example for are. You say something like est-ce qu'ils viennent demain? Because of the fact that the subject pronoun il or elle begins with a vowel, I put an apostrophe. I eliminated the e from que and I replaced it with what? An apostrophe. So that is what you would do. You wouldn't say est-ce que elle or est-ce que il. You say est-ce qu'il, est-ce qu'elle. Okay? So that would mean, are they coming tomorrow? Are they? Let me know what I'm doing. And finally, an example for did. Est-ce qu'elles ont travaillé aujourd'hui? Est-ce qu'elles ont travaillé aujourd'hui? Which means, did they work today? If you notice, I added a liaison. Elle ends with an S. On begins with a vowel, which is O. So merge them, pronounce them like one. And we're not just merging them. I changed the sound from S to Z. So that's why I said est-ce qu'elles ont. This is because whenever the letter S is being placed between two vowels, what do? You change the sound from S to Z. So that's why it was est-ce qu'elles ont travaillé aujourd'hui, which means did they work today? I want you to know that you can throw est-ce que in between. It doesn't have to be at the beginning of the sentence. It could be in between the sentence. Just think to yourself, if the sentence is long and you know there is is inside that sentence, are, do, does, did, you can throw in est-ce que at the exact point where either of these are whatever are found. So if you want to say something like, how do you go there? Comment est-ce que tu y vas? Or comment est-ce que vous y allez? Or comment est-ce que tu y vas? Do you understand? So you can place the est-ce que in between sentences as long as it means did, do, are, is, and etc. You get the point. Now, a third and final way of asking a question in French is by words. It's by leaving the sentence the way it is, but what changing your intonation, changing the stress pattern of the sentence, which is basically intonation. By changing it. I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's take this sentence. Tu finis à 5 heures. Tu finis à 5 heures. 5 heures. Which means you finish at 5 o'clock, 5 a.m. Right? It's simply you finish. But now, if I change my tone, I could say tu finis à 5 heures. Tu finis à 5 heures. You know, the heure. Taking it higher, indicating that it's a question. So that's another way of asking questions, by simply changing your tone. Another example, vous connaissez ce mot. Vous connaissez ce mot. It means you know this word. If I want to ask you, make it a question, I would say, vous connaissez ce mot. Vous connaissez ce mot. So indicating it's now a question. So the way you put it really matters. And that is that for asking questions. Classwork. Do you think I forgot? Transform this sentence into a question using the inversion method, est-ce que, and okay, you cannot use intonation because you can't comment with a voice note. So using est-ce que and the inversion method. I know how to play the guitar. So you're going to translate it to French first before making it a question. So you have a lot of work to do. I know how to play a guitar. Write your answers in the comments. Okay, write it down in the comments. And that is that about asking questions in French. Once again, my name is Elizabeth Nkere. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, make sure to smash that like button. Let me talk like a typical YouTuber. Smash that like button. Make sure to subscribe to this channel. Follow my other socials, Instagram, TikTok. I post videos there every single day. Helpful tips. And I will see you in the next video. A bientôt.